Good afternoon, folks. You're watching World Without Rule Law. We're here on the Southern Virginia homestead, and it is a beautiful fall day. Sunny and probably high 40s, low 50s. Okay, so I want to show you this IBC tote, which I use for a composting bin. And actually, I'm due to flip it over. What I do is I put all our vegetable scraps in here, and there's some gnats in there because it's a little warm today. But I don't know if I can flip this with one hand. I'll try. So that is probably not even 25% full. So we have a coffee can there, and I got my lettuce container because I'm going to pick some salad greens. All of our kitchen scraps, as well as some paper, cardboard, all our coffee grounds, pretty much everything that would come off of our table, with the exception of meat and bones, goes into that. And again, some other inputs like cardboard, paper. We use the egg cartons that are made out of the old recycled cardboard. A lot of that goes in there. And we've been putting that stuff in that 275-gallon tote. Well, I started a year and a half ago when I moved down here. And then my wife came. We just both always did that. That was just what we did with every single bit of organic material that comes out of our kitchen. And I know there's some things that they say, not to do citrus, maybe different things like that, but we just ignore that and do all that. And if you watch, I got a booklet from a guy, and he has a YouTube channel, and the YouTube channel is called David the Good, and he's got a free PDF downloadable booklet on composting. And I mean, he composts some crazy stuff, like stuff I wouldn't even do, like meats, and he's, on the extreme end of it. But I've taken a page out of his playbook, and so I include the citrus and all that. But see, that breaks down so much, we've never even emptied that yet. And what I'll do is, once a week or every couple weeks if I forget, or whenever, I'll come out and turn it. And as we get water, you can see where the ground was. Now, it hadn't been turned probably in close to a month. As you can see the chips underneath it, because I've got holes all throughout it for ventilating. And when I'm watering out here, I usually put a few gallons of water in there. And so all that nutrient-rich water soaks out of that. And then, after a month or two, I'll drag it over to there. Then I'll drag it over to here. And so, we're using that compost without emptying it. And we're just liquefying it and letting it drain into various areas on this plot that's going to be the perennial food forest. And then, my goal originally was to let it get filled up. I was going to cut it in half, empty it, and use the two halves for 2 more grow beds. But as I said, a year and a half later, it's not even, a quarter of the way full. Because I've ripped up cardboard boxes and put them in there. And so it'll get fairly full, but it always compost back down. So just want to show you that. But I'm also going to today do something a little different, because in here we have a full load of scraps. And again, I got this idea from David the Good, but he digs trenches or pits in his garden, and he buries his stuff directly. So in my adaptation of that, I'm going to do that in one of these grow beds that I'm preparing for next year. This one right here where my carrots came out, and you can see I got the organic materials in there. I'll put this over here because I'm going to pick some lettuce. Put on my other glove. And again, I'm going to try to do this with one hand. Okay, so I apparently could not film that with one hand. My thumb accidentally shut the camera off. But what I did was I had the coffee can full of vegetable kitchen scraps. I just dug a hole down in the bin and buried it. And that will sit over the winter and decompost. And in the spring, I'll just rake the bed out. And if there's any big chunks that haven't fully decomposed, I'll just pull them out. But I'll be good to go. And it's a way to feed the soil with what we have here that would normally be waste. That's the idea behind the whole thing. Because nowadays, even bringing in compost and inputs from, which were normally organic and trusted inputs, like, for instance, horse manure, cow manures, already made composts. We really have to know where they're coming from nowadays with all this kind of stuff that they spray, and the cows and the horses, they eat it and it goes out in their poop, but it stays and it can be damaging to the crops. So it's not like 30 years ago when you can go to any farm and get cow manure or horse manure and be relatively sure that it was organically good stuff. Now the inputs that they spray on the fields where these animals graze are just so unpredictable. Like, unless you really, really know the farm and what the animals are fed, it's a good idea to try to stay away from any inputs that are brought in from off-site. And so by taking the stuff from our vegetables that we eat and stuff that we cook here and make here and our coffee grounds and all that, then we kind of have a little more control over what's going in it, and it all breaks down, it all feeds the soil. The other method I'm going to try to use more is chop and drop and just return those nutrients back to the soil. Let it compost right into the soil. And, that and the liquid teas, and technically it's not a tea because I'm not aerating it, but by filling that bin with water, it just makes like a soup, I guess. It's I say compost tea, but as I said, it's not a tea because it's not brewed or aerated. But though it will, the water will take the nutrients from that compost and deliver them back into the ground. And by moving that around, we can bring those inputs back into the soil. Next year, I'm actually going to park that bin near one of my fig trees. I've got 2 fig trees and I'm going to get a couple more, at least one more. So I'm just going to pick one and I'm going to try to park that bin by it. And I'll keep flipping it around, but I'll just go around in a circle around that tree, and I'm going to see if that makes any difference, any noticeable difference. So it's kind of be an experiment. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Thanks for following the channel. God bless you.